So Kash Patel was up on Capitol Hill today. He was testifying before the Senate. This clip of his back and forth with Senator Cory Booker gives you a good sense of how it all went. Let's listen.
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If you want to talk about
dividing this country,
it is my time.
I follow you on your social media posts that tear this country apart.
To address your falsehoods.
Oh, you can try all you want
in this country.
To not take responsibility for what you have said. Sir, you're making a mockery of this committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over. The people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. You can't lecture me.
You can tell me my time's over.
You may be in charge of the FBI,
not going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you,
Mr. Chairman.
Not afraid of you.
Okay, so earlier this week, there was a Fox News story that made it sound like the White House and then senior leaders at the DOJ, especially Pam Bondi, were fed up with Kash Patel. They lost faith in Patel and Dan Bongino. We had talked, Ben, on the show before about how the FBI had named a second deputy director, which is not a thing that happens. The Fox piece noted how under the Vacancies Reform Act of 1998, once that new deputy was in place, he could fill in the director's spot in an acting role at 90 days after his appointment if Kash Patel were pushed out. So it's sort of seen as maybe, giving you a sense of where these things were going. But before you get your hopes up, Axios reported on Tuesday that Kash Patel's job is safe, that the White House likes him. We don't know if those reports are right or wrong, Ben. But my guess is performances like the one we just listened to at this hearing only helps Kash Patel. I mean, I think Cory Booker played right into exactly what Kash Patel wanted there, which was a big fight that goes viral, that someone will show to Trump, like Brett Kavanaugh, to show that he's fighting. Patel also called Adam Schiff a coward and a buffoon, which, again, is the kind of performative bullshit that Trump loves. So I think we're probably stuck with this fucking guy, but I don't know. What'd you make of it?
I first just want to say, Tommy, I mean, it's what we all think, and you guys talked a bit about this on PSA, but look, it is horrific what happened to Charlie Kirk. It is a horrific thing that his wife and children lost a husband and father. I feel bad for people that were his friend. I feel bad for his audience. I feel bad for anybody who's upset by this.
We're just like generally scared.
I feel rage at the person who did this, both because it's an act of political violence, but also because that person, opened up this Pandora's box. I will say, though, that for these people like Kash Patel, who've done nothing but pour toxins into the politics and societal health of this country for years, to now be trying to use this to say that they're allowed to call us whatever the fuck they want. They're allowed to say whatever they want about the people they disagree with. But then if we so much as point out what they're doing, that we are somehow guilty of incitement, is the classic authoritarian playbook. That is what is happening here. They're trying to silence speech. They're trying to make it so you can't even describe accurately what they're doing, and so it's not only hypocrisy, it's dangerous.
Yeah.
You're right that there was an audience of one, go up, save your job by picking a fight. The only thing I'd add to that clip, though, is you hear the Republican chairman, banging the gavel as if Booker's the guy who's out of line. Look, the FBI
stands up for institution.
Yeah,
man.
The FBI director. First of all, used to be like a neutral, nonpartisan official. You wouldn't have any fireworks at FBI hearings. It wasn't like even a cabinet secretary going up there. But it used to be that senators had some dignity about their institution, not being pushed around and steamrolled. And you got the FBI director acting as the chair, like, this is my time. It's not. It is fucking Booker's time. Like, he has a time allotted. Yeah. And look, I don't like it when senators use up all their time giving speeches, but they're senators. That's what they do.
You're like yelling at a judge, though. Like,
yeah.
You're not supposed to do it.
It's just a window into both the playbook they're trying to run to silence anybody else and say that any speech against them, even just accurate description of what's happening, is like so-called incitement. But it's also just yet another sign that this institution, that for most of its history, like privileged its own power above anything else, sometimes to the detriment, is just like we're not even in like a parliamentary democracy where everybody falls in line. We are literally in like, Russia, where the United Russia policy is like rubber stamping shit in the Duma and like heckling the opposition.
Yeah, big Duma hearing today. It's also worth noting, Ben, I mean, we're living in a context where Trump overtly says he wants the FBI and other like organs of the government to be used to investigate his political opponents, especially Adam Schiff.
Yeah.
Right? We're going after him for mortgage fraud.
Who's a senator.
Yeah. So that's got to be in their heads in these hearings when they're getting in fights with Kash Patel, the FBI director. Frankly, it's in my head. Like when we talk about these people, they would love to go after us. I don't believe for a second they wouldn't use the FBI to go after critics.
Yeah.
Let's
pause on this for a second because it crossed my head in the YouTube too. Like it's interesting, right? It's a new thing that you're like, oh, I'm talking about the FBI director. What?
Yep.
You know.
Yeah. And it was also just worth noting, like on the policy, like NBC News reported that 20% of the FBI's agents have been diverted to work on immigration enforcement. They point out that there was a Baltimore domestic terrorism squad. All of them, it's like 10 people, all of them were reassigned to work on immigration enforcement. And then there's current and FBI officials in the story saying that like agents working on public corruption, fraud, and espionage are just this no longer priorities. The things you and I have talked about on the show before, but it's like interesting to see it all in black and white like that. And then, you know, I agree. It definitely was. Patel's performance was for an audience of one.
Yeah.
But he has also gotten crosswise with the broader MAGA media movement and base because of his performance, both with the Jeffrey Epstein stuff and then the early days of the Charlie Kirk manhunt. Like Christopher Rufo, the guy who brought critical race theory sort of to the fore, said that he wasn't sure if Patel was up for the job. But there was one more moment in this hearing that I think will probably not go over well in that same world, which was Kash Patel was asked about Jeffrey Epstein and whether he had trafficked other young women to other individuals. And he said, there is no credible information, none, that he trafficked young women to other individuals. So I guess what that means is that Patel doesn't believe that direct testimony from Epstein's victims that they were trafficked to other individuals is credible. Pretty shocking.
You just can't believe anything this guy says. I mean, there's just no modicum of fidelity to any truth. And having the head of the FBI, the most powerful law enforcement agency in the country, run by someone that you can't trust in any way, shape, or form is pretty disconcerting. Yeah. I mean, I want to point out one thing, Tommy. Like he did this tour to try to burnish his reputation, where he compared he can't take credit for the arrest, really, in the sense that this guy was turned in by his family.
He tried, but yeah.
But what he tried to say is like, well, I insisted that they put out the picture of this guy, and that's how we got him. Because then and then he compared it to Boston Marathon bombing and Luigi, the guy who shot the healthcare executive. He's both those cases, they put out pictures of the guy. Like the Luigi picture is how they got him in McDonald's, because someone saw the picture and said, oh, that's the guy. I remember being in the fucking Situation Room when the pictures were out of the two people that were involved in the Boston Marathon bombing, those two brothers. So he's just like relentlessly lying. And on the Epstein stuff, what's scariest about that is like his fidelity to MAGA doctrine, which is that Epstein is the center of a cabal, is less important than even like just his complete and utter fidelity to Trump. That he's probably going farther than Trump would even want him to do, to just pour cold water on anything having to do with Epstein. That should scare people too, and particularly anybody who cares about the trafficking of young girls, which we know happened in this case.
Yeah, it's all terrible.